Welcome back everyone. I've kind of hit a big point in the last couple of days, definitely something worth making a video about. I've hit £10,000 worth of sales in the last 90 days and now we're getting to the point where we're completely blasting through that £10,000 mark, now coming close to £11,000 worth of revenue made on eBay in the last 90 days. Now admittedly, I have not made all of this in profit. This is very important, and a lot of beginners who watch videos on eBay and Amazon make this mistake. They see somebody who makes maybe $1 million a year and think that's all profit. Well, it's not. Most of that is probably just going to be expenses. Now, admittedly, I have made a nice amount of profit, I have to say. Like in the last 10 days alone, because we're coming up to, I think, the 11th of June at the time of filming this video, so it will be out a couple days later. But at the 10th or 11th, I believe it is, I think I've made like £900 worth of profits. That's pure profit, money that I get to keep, money that I've completely made. So it's looking like it could be, you know, £2,000 to £3,000 worth of profit this month, which is absolutely brilliant. And obviously the revenue figures are going to keep increasing if I keep putting in the work. But let's talk about what's happened at £10,000 worth of revenue, why it's happened, how I've managed to do this so quickly, being as I've only been operating this business for about, 4 months. I want to talk about how I've done that so quickly and ultimately if it's been worth it. Now, the first thing I have to say before we jump in is, yes, it has been worth it. It really has. Like, I've sold, I think now over 230 items on eBay, obviously in the last 90 or maybe 100 days or something like that. Most of the transactions have gone absolutely brilliant. I cannot complain about most of these customers at all. I've received 0 negative feedback, which is brilliant. And I want that to continue, so I'm praying it does. I've received 2 neutral feedback, but I was able to convince one of the buyers that it should be converted to positive feedback. That's another story for another day. So actually, yeah, I've only received 1 neutral feedback that has been registered as the other person converted it to positive feedback. And my positive feedback is now like 61, 62, and that is purely from selling items, because a lot of people have got huge feedback scores, like 3, 4, 5,000, and it's all just from buying items and being reviewed by sellers. Nope, every single item on my store has been sold, and that's where I got the feedback from. So I think I'm building up a pretty reputable brand here, and I like to hope that continues up until, well, the near future and the considerable future. So yeah, it's been a really good experience, and I have to say I recommend it. Now, there have been a few things that you have to be careful for if you're looking to get into this yourself, especially as a beginner seller. Be very careful about people trying to rip you off. I've faced this quite a bit. I still see it now and again, but these people are starting to drop off as my store gets more reputation. And at this point now, it's like if I was to file a case with eBay and somebody said, you know, an item arrived defective, I had proof it didn't arrive defective, or, you know, whatever they were saying, eBay would probably side with me, because it's like, well, this person's got like 10 feedback. I've got 250 plus roughly items sold, I think it is. So, you know, I've got kind of a reputation now of being a good seller. So I'm happy with that. But on top of that, what you've got to remember is, you know, as a beginner, you don't have that amount of feedback. You only have a completely new account, probably low feedback. So what I do is I sell only small value items. So we're talking items definitely below £100 or dollars. That way, if you do get frauded or scammed, you're not going to lose too much, because, you know, I've seen this happen. It's actually happened to people like myself, not on eBay this time, but a couple of years ago on a different account. We're talking years back now, but I was selling used phones a couple of years ago. Well, quite some years ago. Let me explain. I was selling iPhone 4s. So, you know, this is going to be what, like 10 years ago. Somebody claimed that a phone didn't arrive. It did arrive. I had proof of it. But because my account was new, eBay sided with that buyer who had more feedback, and I got scammed out of a completely working iPhone 4, which obviously for a new seller is a bummer. You're going to be like, well, I've lost a valuable item, even if it is only of small value. Why should I continue when it's knocked out so much of my profit? The same is true for returns. Even if an item is faulty, it sucks to accept returns. It does for me, and it probably will for you. I hate accepting returns, but I have to do it. I wouldn't not do it. I think it's only fair to do it. But it's one of those pieces of the business that when I see a return coming, I'm like, oh, not another return. At this point, it's not a problem. I make enough profit per month or even per day that a return isn't going to affect me that bad. But especially if an item is defective and I can't sell it on again for full value, it just sucks. And especially if you're making like 10 sales a month in your first month, if you get one return, even one return, I know this is true for me, one return in the first month would have probably demotivated me to the point where I wouldn't have even kept selling, because it would have knocked out all of my confidence in this business. But you've got to think about it. Just imagine when you scale the business to the point where, you know, kind of like where I am. Like if I make like £500 worth of sales a day, not profit, but sales, and I get one return, that is not going to affect me. Obviously, I'm going to, you know, have lower profit for that day, but I'm probably still going to be profitable on the day. I'm definitely still going to be profitable in the week and the month. So just think about it. When you scale this business, it's going to hurt less. So accept them and, you know, just carry on and keep motivation up. I also think one of the reasons why I was able to receive barely any negative or even neutral feedback is because I've been the best I can be to my customers. Like, even to a fault sometimes. I've given somebody a free watch because they complained like once. There wasn't even a reason, they were in the wrong anyway, but I just said have that item for free, and that person then went on to leave me positive feedback because, you know, they got an item for free. Even if it is a rubbish item, something that they didn't want, it's now for free. Keep it, don't return it, just keep it. So people can't complain. So I think be as nice to your customers as possible, even if they're giving you a hard time. Trust me guys, it's very easy to convert a dissatisfied customer to a really happy customer with a little bit of money off, with the right positive attitude and the correct solutions, which is going to keep them happy. So do everything that you can to keep customers happy, especially if you sell in a category where you get potential for repeat buyers. Another good thing that I will say is keep your supply chain tight and sturdy alongside your stock. Now, admittedly, this is only something that I'm struggling with right now, where I'm getting to the point where I'm selling 4 or 5 items plus a day, and that's a minimum. So when I'm selling like 5 to 10 items a day, this is now becoming a problem. Like some of the parcels that you'll probably be able to see back here, I'm not sure if you can or can't, I might have cropped the video a bit. Some of these items I can't get, like I can't get enough of them. Like they sell 5 times a day, I can't find enough of them on the internet. Every supplier that I can find can sell me like 6, 7 items at a time, which sounds all right. But again, if this item's selling 3 times a day, 3 days it's sold out completely. I need more stock. So try and keep a tight supply chain where you know where everything's coming from, where you know that you're gonna have enough in to keep up with your orders. But on the same note, I will also have to say, keep your stock level tight. Oh, I also just got a notification saying that something has sold on eBay, which is brilliant. Anyway, yeah, keep your stock supply tight. Let me tell you about one of the biggest mistakes I think people make. People look at an item on eBay. I'm going to have to obviously use the example again. A watch. I say a watch because if you don't know, I sell solely watches on eBay. Someone looks at a watch, right? Say this brilliant watch I've got here, it's a silver watch. It doesn't matter. They think, oh, this is going to be a great item. I'm going to buy 50 of them. Don't buy 50 of the watch on the first day. You don't know it's going to sell at all. Like, I've had items in my store that have never sold. They've been up for a month, 2 months, and you could argue that, yes, it's priced wrong, or yes, it's the wrong colour, the wrong time, it just won't sell. It doesn't matter. This item's probably not going to sell ever. So it's like, if I have 50 of these items, I'm now screwed, because I've got to either sell them for a really low price, or sell them for maybe free, give them away, or something like that. It's not a good idea to buy mass amounts of stock on your first sale or 2. So what I like to do is keep 2 items of every single piece in stock, and there's a brilliant reason for this. Let's say that I buy things from China, as most people who resell new items probably will. You know, this item's going to take like, what, 10 days to arrive from China if I've got a good supplier. If I keep 2 of these items in and I'm a fairly new store, by the time one of the items sells and sells again, I can keep another one in store, so when the inventory level goes back down to 1, I'm going to update it to 2 again. When one person sells buys that item again, I'm going to be able to send them out the spare one that I had and order in another one from China. So I can keep that supply kind of going and going, send one out, buy another one, send one out, buy another one, to the point where I've always got 2 in stock. I think that works best. And obviously when you get to the point where you're making 3 sales, 5 sales of an item a day, and that's almost guaranteed, that's when you can go ahead and buy 30, 50 of them in stock. But I wouldn't recommend doing that, in my opinion, as a beginner, because I just see it as a way to fail. Obviously, as a beginner, what you're trying to do is make as much money with spending as little as possible, and spending tens of thousands on stock that you don't know will succeed is never a good idea, in my personal opinion. So really, I'd have to say that's how I've done it. I've just been able to keep my stock to a minimum where possible. I'm trying my best as much as possible to improve and increase the supply chain to a point where it's really smooth. Customers can hopefully buy things like today on Sunday when I'm filming the video and have it arrive Tuesday, Wednesday, so 2 to 3 days. That's what I aim for. I can make, you know, 1 trip to the post office a day, every single day. That's completely fine. It's just down the road. I just want to give customers the best experience as possible. And I think that's why I've been able to grow so quick, alongside being able to list as many items as I can, because I've not spent, you know, tens of thousands on single items. I've spent like £100 maximum on each item at a time. and, you know, just bought multiple items along the way. I think that works out better, but that's just my experience. I just wanted to tell you about a few tips that I'd look out for if I was looking to start selling on eBay and scaling to the point where I have and how I've ultimately done it. I hope this was helpful and it wasn't just me ranting at the camera. Thank you for watching though, and I'll see you again soon.